Hello friends, today is the 24th of November 2017 and today I want to speak about building a home network. I mean network internet network with devices, with computers, notebooks, PCs, workstations, some phones, iPhones, iPads, and wireless and other devices, and router. And what advantages gives this building of home network? You can use many devices in your area securely and wirelessly, and also you can set up some, for example, hosting server inside your network. You can set up IP camera and access this IP camera from external networks, and you can use external IP address to achieve these purposes. And if you don't have external IP address, if your provider only can give you dynamic IP address, which is changed every day during your connection, you can also use these services by using dynamic IP address mapping to some domain name. And here the scheme. You have some internet provider that gives you access to internet. Most likely the provider gives you access through some Ethernet cable, and your flat or your house has some RJ45 connector which has internet data cable. And to build home network, you can use Wi-Fi router. You connect this data cable with Wi-Fi router. You set up some internet settings related to this provider on the Wi-Fi router, and your Wi-Fi router is connected to internet. Okay, and after that you can use your devices in your local network. This can be workstation 1, 2, 3. This can be notebook. This can be IP camera or another IP camera, or this can be many phones, iPhones, Androids, and so on, that have Wi-Fi connection. Workstation can be connected to Wi-Fi router also by data cable, by Ethernet data cable with RJ45 connectors, or if the workstation has Wi-Fi Ethernet adapter, also the workstation can be connected to Wi-Fi router by Ethernet, by generally used data cable. And notebook can be connected to Wi-Fi router by Wi-Fi, or also by data cable. IP camera also Wi-Fi or data cable, and phones primarily use wireless connection, Wi-Fi connection, but it is possible also to connect phone by cable. There is some adapter that can be used to connect data cable RJ45 to phone, and also the phone can be used with without wire. So, and when you use a central point like Wi-Fi router that can give internet that can give the internet to all of your devices, it is very handy because you can use many devices, not the one. If you have only one computer workstation, then it is possible to connect this workstation just with the cable from internet provider, and that's all. But if you have more flexibility of your local network, it is very helpful to use Wi-Fi router. So, and in this case, what can be achieved by this scheme? All of your devices has access to internet. This is the first point, and the second point is that inside your local network you can connect any devices to each other. So, for example, if you have transfer some files from notebook to workstation, it is possible to use this network to transfer some files, and no need to use some external disks, some external USB devices, and so on. And also you can this is the first thing. This is the second thing. The first one is all of your devices has internet connection. The second one, all of your devices are connected to each other, so you can transfer some files inside inside your network. And the third thing, that you can set up some service in your local network and give access to the public internet, to this service. And here I want to explain how this can be achieved. And one very handy thing to use Wi-Fi router. How can you use it in another way also? For example, if you need to set up some services inside your local area, inside your local network, and want to access these services outside from your home network. For example, just from another network which has connection to internet, some internet cafe or some another home. You want to access, for example, your workstation, your server that you can set up on this workstation, and in such a sense, this workstation can be used like a hosting, like hosting server that can be used to set up some internet site, for example. And you can access this internet site from different places in internet, and another people also can access your site, your site that you deploy locally. And also you can use, for example, IP camera to track, to set up some security in your house, in your flat, to see and to track your home, what is happening in the home. You can just see from outside network. And how it can be achieved also. You can use Wi-Fi router that have connection to internet, and you have to get external IP address. You can request from internet provider the service that named like external IP address. This is external IP address, or if you don't want to buy this service from your internet provider, because generally this is a paid service, and you can use another approach. You can use dynamic DNS. What is this? What is it? In the case of external IP address, you bind to your Wi-Fi router the concrete IP address that you are given from your provider. And in another case, your IP address can be changed from time to time, and how you can navigate to your Wi-Fi router from the internet, from outside. You can set up another service which called dynamic DNS, and you can just to try to explain shortly what is it. What is this? There is this service that called dns.com. I don't remember exactly that. Many years ago, maybe 7 years ago, this was this service looked like this, as I remember. And you have to set up the program to your workstation that can be will be do the following thing. This program, additional program, which is called like DNS service, will keep in actual state the mapping in this service, in dns.com service, mapping like your site.com. You have to have some domain name and your changing IP address. When, for example, workstation is rebooted or Wi-Fi router is rebooted, IP address, for example, was changed, and in this case the program sent the signal to DNS service with the request to update your site mapping. IP address will be updated. So for external services that wanted to find your Wi-Fi router, they go by the following path. They requested your site.com address, and your site.com address will be mapped to DNS, which is hosted on dnsservice.com. And dns.com suggests that you have now IP address like this, and this is IP address is in an actual state, because the program on the workstation is keep this address, IP address, I mean, in actual state. So by IP address, by this actual IP address, the Wi-Fi router is found. So, but it is more useful, more handy to use external IP address. And in this case, Now let's go on. What we have? We have, for example, IP camera and workstation inside your network, and you want to publish these services, for example, server, which you already set up on the workstation, and you want to publish IP camera that already also was set up. For example, about IP camera. IP camera has in your local network has local IP address, but you need to publish this camera as external device, and there is a feature on Wi-Fi router which is called port forwarding. Port forwarding or dynamic services. Not dynamic, sorry. Maybe the another name is private server. Port forwarding and private servers. Maybe also there is another name, or there are another names of by this in this sense. This is the same thing, and this is thing is should be set up on Wi-Fi router. And for example, you have the following scheme. You have external IP address 253.120 and so on, IP address external, or you have your site.com address. You, for example, map this domain name to your IP address, fixed IP address, or dynamic IP address. It's not important. You have some address of your Wi-Fi router, and you made your router allow it to be accessed from internet, from outside the local network. Okay, and also you have, for example, IP camera with address. Generally, in a local network area use the following addresses: 192.168.1 and dot, and the last asterisk can be from 0 to 20 and 255. 255 devices can be used, and for example, in your local network area, IP camera has the following address: 192.168.1.51, and port to access the IP camera in the web browser is, for example, 9090, and you can locally open a web browser in the address, put this IP address of the IP camera, then colon, and add 9090, like this, 9090, and you press enter and you see IP camera interface. Also, for example, for workstation, you have local address, the same as the first, but the last number is, the last digit is dot 16, and you have a service on this workstation, like for example server hosting, which is deployed on port 8080, and you want to make this service visible from internet. Also in the local network, you can on another computer, you can open browser, you can put in the address this address 192 dot and so on, and the last dot 60. Also you can add colon and the port 8080. And so you see web interface for your service that is installed here on workstation, and you want to publish this. How it can be achieved? You use feature. You use some special feature on your Wi-Fi router, which is called port forwarding in general, and you have to fill some mapping in the settings of Wi-Fi router. How it can be looked, how it can look. And here how it looks like the port forwarding table or private servers settings, something like this. Here several columns, one for local IP address, and we is filling here 192 dot and so on. For example, for settings for our workstation. Our workstation has the address, IP address with the last digit 60, and we fill here 60. And we want to publish our services that can be should be available from the internet. For example, we have the service on port 8080, and also, for example, we have a service for 2021 port. If I'm not mistaken, this is FTP protocol, FTP, file transfer protocol. To, for example, you have also, for example, service to keep some files on your workstation, and you want to access these files from the internet, and FTP protocol can help you. By this protocol you can copy these files from internet and put some new files to your workstation, and you filling this table in the following way. The first one, IP address of the workstation. The next column named like internal port. In this case 8080, okay, and in the case of the second service, this is 21, and the third column is external port. The port is actually used for external computer in their internet. For example, if you want to access, here I a bit changed our external IP address, 253.10.1.50, and you want to access your services on workstation in the computer of which is placed in internet outside of your local network. You use the following address, 253.10.1.50, then colon and 8080. This is the same. For example, this is the port can be used the same, but you can also change the port. For example, you can use 8081, and in this case you have to put here external address like 8081. And how this works, you specify this address on external computer. Firstly, used IP address. By IP address through internet is found your Wi-Fi router, or it can be domain name and so on. Wi-Fi router is found. Okay, the following thing, we have a port 8081, and we requesting some service by this port. On Wi-Fi router is used port forwarding table, and by this table Wi-Fi router see that there is a mapping with such a port 8081, and this port is mapped to internal port and internal IP address. So this external port 8081 resolved as internal IP address plus internal port, and here we have our workstation by the address .60, and the port is 8080. And if the request would be, for example, if you set up FTP protocol or SFTP is, if I'm not mistaken, has port 22. If you specify in the another program FTP, for example, this address, your external IP address or domain name, and port 21, this can go in the following way. We note okay, 21, for example, 21, we Wi-Fi router sees, looked Wi-Fi router trying to look for this port 21, and in this column this is not found, so the service is not found, there is an error. Okay, we have to actually specify here another port 2021, and in this case this is resolved as our local IP address with the ending .60 plus port 21, and here we have workstation also with the service FTP on this port 21. Why it is handy to change port, to use port not the same as internal port? Because the first reason, you can have another workstation, another workstation 2 with also, for example, FTP service, which is used on the same port 2021. But no, it's okay. Actually, it's okay because workstation 2 has another IP address, and the resolution will be fine. Another reason, the reason that it is handy to use different, in some cases, to use different ports, I mean internal and external. For example, the following. Yes, the first reason also applicable, because if you, for example, has workstation 2 with 24 first address, and you for example will specify the same for one, for example, not 61, no, not 60, but for workstation 2, 61, and workstation first 60. 21 here, 21 here, and external port must be, and the external ports must be different. For example, 2021, 2022, because we need to resolve this port on two different services. And the second reason, if you, for example, has only one workstation and use for example this 21 port, and you can specify 21 as external, but there can be problems with access from external network to your 21st port, because some providers prohibit access to ports like from 0 to 1000. This is called system ports, and for security reasons these ports, I mean from 0 to 1000, generally prohibited. So when you try to access to port, for example 21, you might get an error, and it is not due to misconfiguration of your Wi-Fi router and so on. This is because of some internet provider settings, and because it is handy to specify, for example, big numbers for external ports, for example 2021. You can the ports can be specified up to approximately 55,000. And okay, and the last thing that I want to mention in this video is about workstation services. For example, you want to set up some site with internet store or something like this, or some forum, some blog, and how it generally is configured. On workstation you have operation system like Unix, Linux, Unix, or Windows, or Mac, and you install some service, some, for example, Apache server or another server, and on this server you configure your site. But now has a bit enhanced idea to build your site on your workstation. For example, yes, you can use the following stack. Here, this is workstation. This is actually hardware. You set up virtual machine on your workstation to allow virtualization. You can set up your server inside of some virtual machine, and you can backup this virtual machine. You can, if something goes wrong, you can revert to previous version of virtual machine. This is very handy. And if your workstation is broken, or operating system is broken, you can revert. You can very fast to revert your services. You can change you can change workstation on another one. For example, I use a notebook. I used notebook ThinkPad. This is professional notebooks that can be used very very durable notebooks. But notebooks are not recommended to use as hardware for servers, but it is possible for professional notebooks that not broken after some weeks. Okay, and you have and for example, if some operating system you apply some new changes, and for example you broke something, you break something. In this case, you can revert to previous version of virtual machine state. You have to perform backups. You have to do some backups, and it is also very handy. And you have virtualization. On virtualization, some virtual machine, and on virtual machine you install operating system. For example, it can be Unix or Linux, and or Windows is not it's not good, because I've heard that there are many problems with Windows in relation to security. So for example, you can Unix, you install Apache as a server, MySQL as database, and PHP as MySQL, PHP database, PHP to my PHP to apply scripts and work with PHP, and not your site, and you also here not your site, you can install based on these services another product. For example, Joomla. I don't remember exactly is it correct word or not, but the pronunciation is Joomla. Also there are another services that used this server database and PHP scripting to run sites. This can be some blogs and so on. There are many engines. This thing is named engine to build some CMS content management system, and you can configure based on this content management system your blog or your site, your magazine, internet magazine. You can find what you need. You can understand and find what you need, and you can install here. So this is very handy, because this scheme is very reliable and portable. You can make an archive from this configuration with virtual machine, and deploy this image on another workstation. So here I'm finishing. Thank you very much for being with me. Hello from Moscow. Wish you good luck. You can make some services if you need this, or you can use some existing services, but for existing services you need to pay money. You can select what you need. If you have this scheme, you have to use Wi-Fi router 24 hours per day, and you have to switch on a workstation also 24 hours per day, and it's up to you. You can use. Thank you if you need. Thank you very much for being with me. Bye bye.